Right, okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you. And my name's James Sanderson in London. We've got a wonderful selection of people joining us on the call tonight from all across Europe. So that's very, very exciting. But the most exciting guest that we have of all is Carol Willcox, PMD, all the way from Devon. So, Carol, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
And how are you today?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Yeah, you look radiant. You look absolutely radiant. And you were just telling me a moment ago that you're about 15 minutes away from the beach down in Devon.
15 minutes from the beach and 15 minutes from the moors, from Dartmoor.
Wow. And then your nearest bigger town or city would be?
Exeter or Plymouth.
Right. Okay. So you would be actually quite a long. How far away would you be from a big city or town?
Exeter, probably 20 minutes. Plymouth, probably 40.
Perfect. So you are really, in many respects, quite sort of out in the countryside, would you say?
Oh, well, I live in the town, albeit not right in the centre of the town. But it's a very quiet area down here.
Okay.
And what is great about it, you're literally 15 minutes from the M5 to get anywhere. So it's really very easy, to commute to different places.
Brilliant. One of the things, Carol, I just noticed straight away, and you've always struck me as being a very sort of motivated person. And obviously you are, in getting to PMD, but on your Facebook page, I love what you have as your banner. If you're not going to push yourself, who is going to push you? I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very, very, very strong energy. Have you had that up for a while?
Probably a couple of months. I try and change it fairly regularly.
Right, but that's the message you want to give at the moment.
Sorry?
That's the message you want to give at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Good. So, Carol, it's lovely to have you on tonight. And obviously what we're going to do is we're going to just do some questions, as we normally do, and then we'll open it up for question and answer at about 9. And that's always interesting. And we encourage people to put any questions you might have for Carol on the chat box down at the bottom. You'll find that at the bottom bar, and you can put a question there, and then we will go through those at the end. But first of all, it'd be fascinating to know a little bit about your background, Carol. What was your background before you started working with Juice Plus?
Okay. My background was when I was at school, I thought I wanted to be in the Navy. I wasn't very bright. So I thought that was probably a good option to go down the road of. But then decided that I didn't want to leave home, and decided that the easiest thing I could do was to get a job and become a hairdresser. So I took up a job in a salon not far from where we lived, and did a couple of years of my apprenticeship there. And then when I was 17, I went to London for 6 months and did a crash course to get my apprenticeship finished quicker. So I did this crash course in London at the Morris School of Hairdressing, which was the first time I'd ever been away from home, and that was really, really scary. Came back from there, and at the age of 18, my father and myself went along to the bank and asked if the bank manager would lend us some money, or me some money, to open or buy a salon that was on the market. So my first experience of working for myself, being self-employed, was at the age of 18, back in 1970. So quite a long time ago. And I really, really enjoyed that experience. And I think one of the things that I gained from that was a lot of skills about working with people. Because when you're a hairdresser, you have to be prepared to listen. You've got to be a good listener. And your organisational skills, and that's where I started to become quite organised. I'd already met my to-be husband then. We met when we were 15. So he helped me set the business up and get it running with his artistic ideas. So I had that business until I was, I think, about 24. By then we had 2 children. My husband had already got another business by then, so I worked with him for a while. And then after that, I opened up a knitting machine shop, which was a craze then, and had quite a few staff with me then. And I used to teach and design knitwear and garments for magazines. What else? And then we bought a family business, electrical contracting and retail business that we had for 25 years, which both our daughters and myself and Nick ran together. And we sold that back in 2005 with the intentions of possibly early retiring. But I don't know, we weren't ready. I don't think we planned. And it didn't go that road, not because of finances, but only because I think we just weren't ready for that. So during those years from 1970, when I started my first business, right up until we sold our other business, the skills that I picked up along the way about working with people, I think have really stood me in, in a good place. I used to do all the, if you wish, the hiring and the firing and all the HR stuff. So, so it's been good background.
Well, that's fascinating. And you were obviously, an extremely good prospect for the business of Juice Plus, having had all this business experience. But tell us, how were you first introduced to Juice Plus?
Well, I used to go to Jane Brunt, Derek's wife, for reflexology. And he used to come into the shop or the business that we had, come up to my office, talk to me or try and talk to me about Juice Plus. But to be perfectly honest with you, I really wasn't interested. I didn't feel I needed anything in my life. I felt everything was fine. Yeah, we had a lot of stress going on with a big business. We had a major, massive turnover in our business, a lot of staff. But everything, as far as I was concerned, was fine. And bless him, he'd leave me a DVD or a CD to watch. And I will be honest, and I have told him this, and he does know, as soon as he'd left the office, I would just chuck it in the bin. I really wasn't interested. So bless him, he kept trying and trying. And I think in the end, I just gave in one day and said, oh, for goodness sake, just order it. I just wanted to get rid of it, get rid of him coming in and bothering me. So I ordered it for myself and Nick, and the rest is history, really.
So that shows really much the power of persistence, doesn't it? Because even though you apparently weren't interested and you were probably giving out all sorts of signals, you weren't interested, he just kept going regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what was it in the end that he said that you thought, right, okay, there must have been something that made you think, do you know what, I'm going to do this?
I don't really know what it was, James. And I think, thinking back, even now, I don't really think I knew exactly what it was, because I hadn't taken the time to watch the CD or listen to a DVD or watch the DVD or listen to a CD. I just kind of like poo-pah'd it. So obviously he must have said something along the lines of, we needed this. And I suppose it was that case of, well, what have I got to lose? At least it'll get rid of him. I really don't know what it was. And one thing I do know is that I didn't really understand what it was. I think I must have just thought it was a multivitamin or something.
So you started on the product, and you're on the product first for a while before you started into the business?
Yeah, I've been on the product now for 14 years.
And how long were you on the product before you started as a distributor?
I started the business nearly 12 years ago.
Right, so you were a customer for about 2 years.
Yeah. And in the meantime, we'd sold our business that we had. And again, Derek would keep bothering me to say, look, why don't you come to one of these conferences up in London, listen to all these speakers? Can I come around and show you both the business model? So we let him come around one evening, and he explained the business model to Nick and I. And I agreed at the time, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, I've got nothing to lose again. It'll give me something to do. And during that evening, I had second thoughts and rang him up in the morning and changed my mind and said, no, I don't want to do it. But again, his persuasion, I said, okay, all right, I'll do it. So I ended up going up to London with him to a conference where I listened to Dr. Mitra Ray and Dr. Richard Dubois. And I came home from there thinking, oh my God, if what they're telling me and what I'm hearing is true, this is just amazing. So it totally flipped the switch. It turned me from somebody that was very not really sure to this massive belief in thinking, oh, wow, this could be so good. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it's amazing, and it will be amazing for everyone listening to the call tonight, because we've all got people who are in the pipeline that we're talking to, some of whom appear to be interested, some of whom perhaps aren't. And yet it is through that persistence that people are going to come. So I think, that's an amazing message. So what was your first 6 months like after you started in the business?
Well, obviously we had no social media or anything like this. We did, as you know, James and Michelle and Gordon, when you wanted to put an order through, you had to send a fax and all this kind of stuff. When you wanted to put a new distributor on, you had to send it all by fax. So for my first 6 months, and it was exactly for my first 6 months, I did an in-home every single Wednesday night. Every Wednesday, every week, without fail. And Derek would come over every single Wednesday and we would play a DVD. Probably the Four Doctors or one of those kind of things, Nijon or whatever. So every single week we would play a DVD. And some weeks I probably would have a couple of people there. Some weeks I might have 10 people there. Other weeks I had nobody. And if I had nobody there, we just used to do training. And I can remember in those early days when Derek was doing the, we'd play the DVD and then he would talk about the DVD afterwards. And he would be talking about free radicals and antioxidants. And oh my God, this was just going right over my head. And, you just persevere and you just keep listening and you just keep learning. And it was good. Yeah, first 6 months were great. Really, really enjoyed it.
So what was your first breakthrough? I mean, obviously, a lot of people are in the business and people are going through their, activities and everything, but it's so often a breakthrough that really comes, and a breakthrough will always come for everyone. What was your first breakthrough?
I think my first breakthrough was when I actually began to believe in myself and believed that I could do this and stopped thinking, oh my God, Juice Plus is expensive. Who's going to buy it? It's so expensive. Because all the time I thought that, written right across my forehead was, Juice Plus is expensive. And that is what I was giving out to people. But as soon as I got my head around that and recognized that was my big challenge, that belief in myself, and changed my thinking, things changed.
Yeah. And so you obviously, I mean, Carol, again, you struck me as being a very motivated person, but also an extremely organized person. I've heard you train before, and you have a wonderfully clear way of putting the message across, but you were very clear and methodical in terms of what you teach people to do. Could you just tell us a little bit about your daily method of operation? Because I think people will be fascinated to, obviously being a businesswoman, you've really clearly, fine-tuned everything. What do you do on a daily basis?
I think it varies from day to day, really, James. And what I do now is probably totally different to what I used to do. Before social media, again, I used to go to a lot of networking lunches and breakfasts. I used to meet with lots of people. I would travel quite a few miles to a network lunch. And I would be doing these, every single month. And that is with my in-homes and my going out and doing all of my network lunches and breakfasts. That is how I built my business, to NMD anyway. But my daily method of operation, I am fanatical about organizing things. I like things to be done professionally. For example, I can't stand to see a PowerPoint presentation that's got the incorrect information, as in old images, or the incorrect amount of ingredients in the product. I'm really fussy about things like that because we have to get this right. So for me, my daily method of operation right now would be, I'm up about 6 o'clock in the morning. I have my breakfast. I do my first post around about 8 o'clock. I go off and walk my dog. And then I come back and I decide then what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. And that might be planning our training. We do a training academy once a month. And at that, we've had that running now for 15 months, and it's going really, really well. So I decide on what the agenda is going to be for that training academy. We always have a rising star, as we're also calling it, at every training academy. And that will be somebody that obviously isn't aware that they're going to get this award, and they always get a really nice award. And it's somebody that's stepped out of their comfort zone or exceeded what we thought that they would do. So they always get that. So I plan the training academies. We also have 2 other trainings. So we have this is in my local area I'm talking about. So we have our training academy. We have 2 other trainings during the month, and we have a business stroke product event as well in the month. So every Tuesday we're busy organising those. I also work with my team, particularly my local team, because I'm quite fortunate that I've got quite a few leaders that are capable of looking after themselves. And yeah, it just flows. But I think for me, it's about, maybe I'm a bit pedantic. I just like things to be right. I'm really passionate that the team know what they're talking about. And I like to encourage them to step out of their comfort zone. So again, when we do our business presentations and we do our training academy, I'm generally there just organising now, and they're then taking part and actually doing the planning. So I'm, a little bit more in the background than what I used to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really fascinating, obviously, because, you started and you began to build a momentum, but you got to NMD. Now, some people are going to be saying, well, I'm sort of, senior director. I'm on my way to sales coordinator. Some people find it difficult to see their way through to sales coordinator, let alone NMD. What began to happen where you began to feel that you were really getting some momentum and you could see NMD ahead of you? What led to that?
Oh, sorry, I just turned this off. I don't know. It's always, yeah. Hopefully they won't ring again.
You're just calling a friend.
Yeah, actually, that's true, probably. So
yeah.
Just repeat that question because I lost that.
All right. Yeah. So what was it? Because people are going to say, oh, I don't feel like I've got that momentum. How did that momentum start clicking in when you thought, right, I've got NMD in my sights now, I can feel it?
I don't know. I think for me, I just seem to. I suppose because of my business background, and this doesn't make me any better than anybody on this call at all, but I suppose I've always been driven, and my thought process is that a business can go 2 ways. It can go up or it can go down. And I wanted my business to continue to go up. So I just kept driving it forward. And I love working with people, and I like to work with their skills, and whatever failings, that's probably not the right word, but whatever challenges people have, it's okay. It doesn't matter. We just work through stuff. And it's just a belief for me that I had, that I knew I could do this.
I love that.
Wherever you are on this call, at whatever position you're at, the most important thing is that you just do believe in yourself. And it is hard sometimes. I still get those moments now when I go, what the hell am I doing? I get those moments even now. But do you know what? That's okay. It doesn't matter. Because as long as you recognize it's only your thinking that's creating that feeling, you can change it. Just like that. It really doesn't matter.
No, I love the fact that you obviously, Carol, right from word go, you've treated this as a business. And that's really helped you. And I think sometimes perhaps for people who haven't had business experience, perhaps, it can be difficult for people to understand that there's an inevitability to success if people will just keep working consistently at something. I think this is such an important thing for people to grasp. But tell us just a little bit, because people are going to be saying, well, look, you make it sound so easy, but frankly, there must be some really key things that you have done. What would be your top 5 tips, do you think, for success?
Steve, looking at my notes now because I've written these down because I was thinking about this earlier on today. I think the first one is you've got to have a burning desire to succeed. And that is without a doubt, you have to have that. And you probably hear that from other speakers, but you've got to have that desire to want to succeed and not give up when things start to go wrong, because you can do that throughout the whole of your life, just give up, and there's no point in that. So you've got to have that desire. You've got to get up every morning, you've got to get dressed, and you've got to show up. And again, for me, you would never, ever see me at my computer in my dressing gown, because if I'm working, I'm working, and I have to get my work head on. You know, I've got to get my work stuff on, and if you wish, and I've got to be in that mode. That's really, really important to me. So get up, get dressed, and show up. And leading by example, you see. Don't overcomplicate the business. I know when I started, and I was working my way up through the marketing plan, I was trying constantly to reinvent the wheel. I was designing this, I was making that, I was, you know, putting this presentation together, I was trying to do this. And I really, really was trying to reinvent the wheel. But particularly now for you guys, there is so much material on the online office. There really, really is. The website is amazing. There is no need for you to reinvent the wheel at all. There really isn't. So don't try and overcomplicate it by, you know, reinventing the wheel. One of the most important things as well, I think, is to, this is number 4, accept that we all think differently. We really, really do. You know, we could all be looking at this pen. And I love this pen because it's got 4 colours in it and it's so easy for me to use. You know, I can change colour and highlight things and everything. But other people might think, oh my God, how can she write with that pen? It's only a pen we're talking about. So everybody's thinking will be different. So what you've got to recognise is that we all think differently about the same situation. And we don't know what other people are thinking. And don't take it too personally. Anything that somebody says to you, it's not necessarily personal. It's just their thinking about the situation. And just don't take anything seriously. Get on and enjoy it. But that, getting back again to how we all think differently, I've worked recently with something called the 3 principles. And it's really, really worth you having a little look at that, because it's so amazing. It really is about your thinking and how your thinking creates your reality.
And tell us a little bit more about that, Carol, the 3 principles. Where do you find that?
Just go online, YouTube, 3 principles, Sydney Banks. You think you've got a 3 principles TV on there, lots of videos. But it's
all about mindset, is it?
Yeah, it's all about your thinking, how your thinking creates your reality. And it is so immense. It's made a massive difference to me in my life and in my business, without a doubt.
Lovely.
Really. And a great book that's worth reading, I don't think I've got it in here right now. It's called Somebody Should Have Told Us. And it's by Jack Prunski. Jack Prunski. Somebody Should Have Told Us. Amazing book.
Yeah.
Prunski. Pransky.
Okay, lovely.
Great book.
Carol, tell us, you know, some people are going to say, oh, well, it sounds like it's been absolutely amazing for you all the way. There you are, PMD. Sounds like you just knew what you were doing right from word go, which obviously to some extent you did, but you approach this as a business, which I think is the key message that I'm picking up. But tell us, what has been your highest point and your lowest point to date?
Well, my highest point was definitely when I got to PMD, but that wasn't just about me. That was about everybody in my team. You know, it was for me, it was an amazing.
Where were you awarded PMD? Where did you get that?
Oh gosh, now you're asking.
One of the conferences.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was actually.
You were on stage. It must have been an amazing feeling.
Yeah. I know. When I went NMD, I was in Rome, and that was incredible. Absolutely loved it. You know, it's a real special moment, and cherish those moments. Whatever position you're achieving, whether it be SDD or even dealer, you know, direct distributor, whatever position you get to, celebrate it. Be grateful for having reached that. And it's a bonus. It really, really is. So getting to PMD was really special. But my team, other people I had to thank for that, because they got me there. My lowest point, or my lowest points, I suppose, when I see somebody in the business that I know could potentially get to PMD, but they give up. They give up too soon. And that is really sad. That really, really upsets me when I see that happen. And I suppose the only other thing that I really find upsetting is when I see people ranting on Facebook, because again, that's not, to me, the right thing to do. We have to keep,
Well,
that makes.
I don't think any of us want that, no. Now, we're getting some good questions coming through at the moment, and in just probably about 3 or 5 minutes, we're going to turn it round to questions. So if you've got any questions you want to ask Carol, then put them on the chat and we'll go through them. Carol, I mean, this is just such a fascinating call, and I love your methodical approach. It's so refreshing because, you know, as we see and as we know, if we approach it as a business, our success is inevitable. If we just don't quit, but we just keep going, and most importantly, keep applying ourselves, the learning. I love that. I think a lot of people are going to be interested. What are your goals for this year?
Well, what I want to do for the rest of this year, I want to reach 100 Club. That's definitely my goal. And I want to continue to develop a team of really motivated and passionate people. Yeah, because this business is special, and it's not rocket science. It's just about having a belief and not giving up. So my goal is to continue to develop what I'm doing already, but bring those people in and help them get to where they want to go. Amazing.
And, you know, for the people that are listening to the call tonight, and some of them will be new, how would you describe the excitement of the opportunity that we have here? When you look back over the last 14 years, how would you describe your feelings of excitement as we look forward? Because really, we're now moving into the most exciting period that we could ever have imagined with our business. But how do you see it?
Oh, I think it's going to be amazing. You know, when I was talking to somebody today, actually, we had a team meeting this morning doing some planning, and we were in the car coming back, and she was very low, and she said she'd felt like this for a while. And I said to her, do you know what, that's okay to feel like that. The fact you recognize you're in that place is good, because you can shift. And, you know, this business is like life, and it's like any business, it's going to do this. It's like riding that wave. But what I see the same as you, James, is something that is in need even more than it ever has been, because sorry, with a new omega supplement coming out, for me that is the final piece of the jigsaw. That is what we needed, or what we need. And this business opportunity is so amazing. You know, what else can you do? Having been in business since the age of 18, you know, I've had my house that I've had to be standards guarantee for business loans. You know, you don't have any of that in this business. And when I think that what you can potentially earn from this business as you grow and you develop, it's not just a business, it's a personal development journey, literally wrapped up as a business. So it's just incredible. There's nothing out there. I really don't believe there's anything out there like it. Hang on in there, guys.
Fantastic. Great. Well, look, let's just move now into our questions. I mean, Carol really has been absolutely fascinating. And Carol, I love the fact you're so straightforward and so honest and transparent about your experience. And I think that's going to be very refreshing for a lot of people, because, you know, it is an exciting business, but we have to work at it and we have to treat it like a business. And if we do that, it will pay us handsomely. And I can share in many respects, that's been my experience as well, that it's that tenacious determination to be successful, whatever it takes, is what will get us there. So we've got one question coming up, and this is really about social media, Carol. Philip asks, what content works best for you in daily posts, and what platforms do you use?
The content for my profile page that works best is always motivational stuff, quite often spiritual stuff. Believe it or not, Juice Plus posts don't work.
What did you
for
say?
Me on my profile page. So
what did you say doesn't work?
Juice Plus posts.
No, absolutely.
No. So I really now started to not avoid doing, well, yeah, I have actually. I've started to avoid doing them. And what I'm trying to do is brand me. So for what I've started to do over the last probably month is looking at not necessarily having a brand, although I do have a brand, and I'm just putting a website together, which I'm hoping to go live next month with. But it's about branding me, so that people will want to look at me and find out what I'm about.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do. So I look very much to see at the kind of posts that work and that get the most likes and that get the most shares. And those are the ones that I will continue to use.
And then how do you, Carol, how do you then move that into a conversation with someone with a view to then possibly, you know, finding out if they're interested in the business and then moving that forward? How do you make that move, so to speak?
What I've been doing over the last few months is, if somebody has, I went down the road some months ago. If somebody liked my posts, I would send them a message to thank them for liking my posts. And then I decided that I'd ask them again, is this something, this is the Juice Plus post we were talking about, is this something that might be of interest to you? I then went right away from that because it didn't fit well with me. So what I do now is I've got a secret group where I add people to. So I firstly ask them if they're happy to be added to my group, and then I pop them in there. But what I also do now, even more so, I'm starting to make more conversations with people. So when they're liking my posts, again, I'm always messaging them to thank them. Just out of courtesy to thank them for liking my posts. And where possible, and where time permits, because we know what it's like once you get on Facebook, time runs away with you. Where possible and where time permits, I will also comment back if they've made a comment on my posts. So it's just a case of generating, like we know we should be, relationship building.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely. I love that. And do you feel, I mean, what are you 50% online and 50% offline at the moment? Or because obviously most of your business has been built offline. What would you say that you are proportionately?
I'm probably at the moment 70% online, I would say.
70% online.
Yeah, I'm starting to use Instagram again. It's something that doesn't come easy to me, social media, I will be honest. I'd much rather sit down in front of somebody, which I'm going to, this week, I've got some appointments with various people to, you know, that I've friended through Facebook, and I've now met on more than one occasion. So I'm building those relationships of Facebook. But so Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are not easy for me to do, but I am starting now to get a little bit more savvy at Instagram. So yeah.
Okay, good. No, well, that's absolutely fascinating. I mean, in terms of social media, where would you feel that you're at with it now in terms of your confidence level with it? Do you feel that that's pretty high now?
Yeah, my confidence is definitely growing because I am more aware of what posts work. But again, I won't just post something if it doesn't fit well with me. I have to feel that it's coming from here, you know, from my heart, that I believe genuinely in what I'm posting about. I don't post anything political. Yeah, everything has to come from me and feel good. So I am feeling more confident. I want to get better at Instagram and Twitter, but I'm also looking forward to getting my website launched and continuing to brand me as a person, who people will then look at me and what I am part of and what I believe in, which I think will then grow my business even more.
Great, thanks. Just another question. It's probably our final question, Carol. Someone's asking, what would a first month look like for someone that you're getting going in the business? What would you expect of them, and what would you think would be the best thing for them to accomplish in the first month in order to get the best momentum going in their business?
I think that will vary depending on each individual, because each individual coming into the business will have a different reason for joining the business. But we have a group for people coming in new, taking them up to DD, where there is a set amount of stuff, if you wish, that they have to work their way through to read and to watch. So it's not a group for a feed. We don't want any news feeds in there. We want them to go in and they've got the instructions to what they have to read, what they have to listen to, and what they have to do. And that will be the first thing that we would do with somebody new coming to the business. And our goal ultimately is to get them to do an 825. But again, it's not always what everybody wants. You know, and if you try and push those people to do that aren't ready to do that, then you're likely to lose them in that, you know, before they even get to the first position or the second position. So I think it's very much a case of knowing what they want from the business. And once you know that, you know how you can work with them individually. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. And then another question very quickly. Obviously, we've got Liverpool coming up in, you know, September. What would you be saying to people with a view to Liverpool? I mean, clearly, coming to a conference, hearing Mitra Ray for you was the absolute clincher.
Yeah.
What would you say to people thinking that they might be thinking about going to Liverpool?
Oh, without a doubt, you need to get there, without a doubt. And this time, I mean, some years ago when we used to go to conferences, when they used to have them in Windsor, James, you know, we used to have a minibus, and we used to go up in a minibus, a whole load of us. And then we had odd cars that would follow on behind from people that didn't live locally. But it was such fun. And I feel that it's very easy to say, oh, I'm not going to go because, you know, so we've got to stop that. And what we're planning on doing when we go to Liverpool this time, you know, we're going to be hiring another minibus, a big minibus, and we're all going to go up together from down here. And if necessary, we're going to get two. And yeah, you've got to get there, because when you come away from those conferences, you know, you just see and you hear so much. It's amazing. And even for me, I really had to step right out of my comfort zone. I'm actually not a very confident person. I'm really, really not. If I walk into a room and it's got 3 or 4 people there, I'm fine. But if I walk into a room and it's probably got 10 people plus, I'm really out of my comfort zone. Honestly, I am. To go to a conference when there's quite a few thousand people there, I'm not comfortable at all. I'm really not. So I stretched and pushed myself at Birmingham to do things that I would normally have not done. So I was actually quite pleased with myself, give myself a bit of a pat on the back.
Absolutely. No, I think that's amazing. And a lot of people will be very, very encouraged by that, because a lot of people would feel exactly the same. But when we come into that environment and we see the energy, it's just addictive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Carol, I think this is going to be our last one from Alex Smallman. Do you have an event schedule for your events where you are? And are other sidelines welcome at your events?
Yes, they are welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Well, our events, we're down here in the West Country. They always say that people walk around with a piece of straw behind their ears. We don't actually do that. But we're very much more laid back probably than you guys, you know, so everything takes that little bit longer to plan and to organise. Although we do, as I said, monthly, business stroke product events. And the next one that we're going to be doing in May, I think is going to be about weight loss. So yeah, absolutely. But we haven't got a schedule. The flyer is just done and then it's posted up. But if you want to send me a message through Facebook.
Carol, we seem to have lost you. Oh, you're back. Send a message through Facebook. That'd be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, look, I think we're up to the end now, Carol. I mean, what an amazing call. And to my mind, what's so extraordinary about this call, in 2 parts really, is first of all, the extraordinary determination and persistence of Derek and Jane to pursue you. Yeah. When all the signs were that you weren't interested, but wow, that paid off. And look what you've become, you know, in the business. But I think the other thing that is shining right through for me from this is your massive commitment to take this very seriously as a business. And with all your experience as a businesswoman, you've been able to bring all that to bear and to bring a sort of discipline to your activities that has paid you handsomely. So it's very inspiring, and it's very exciting also to see how you are out of your comfort zone, but determined to stay out there. Incredible.
Yeah. I can remember just very quickly at the, I think it was Birmingham conference, not last year, the year before, I'd had a skin cancer on my nose. And you can probably remember, James, I had my nose plastered up with plasters all over the end of my nose for 14 months as I was dealing with a skin cancer. And it was really hard because I had to do this for 24 hours a day, and I was treating it with a special cream that was eating away at the cancer cells to destroy them. And it worked. But for 14 months, 24 hours a day, I had these plasters on my nose. And one of the most difficult things I had to do was to stand up in Birmingham and do a training presentation with these plasters on my nose. I absolutely hated it. So you can imagine how right out of my comfort zone I was. Yeah. But anyway, we survived, don't we? To tell another story.
Well, it's been such a joy and a pleasure to have you on, Carol. And you're very courageous, an amazing woman. And we're so grateful for you being on tonight. And I certainly, personally, am massively inspired by what you've shared tonight.
Oh, bless you.
So thank you very, very much indeed. Great. Okay, well, look, we'll look forward to seeing you. And then in the meantime, just to say, we have a big event in London this Thursday, the 27th, just in 3 days' time at the Millennium Hotel in Knightsbridge. And we have special guest speaker, Lou Anderson, who's going to be speaking. She's the most recent NMD in the UK. So she's going to be speaking. That's this Thursday, the 27th, the Millennium Hotel in Knightsbridge.
Is there a flyer for that?
Yeah, I'll get that over to you. There's a flyer, and also it's on Eventbrite. So tickets are £3 a head, but it'll be an amazing evening. So, and that's doing the corporate slide. So it's a very well-organised, structured event with a lot of good stories.
Lovely.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, take care, everyone. Good night, and thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye.